Captain Jake Martinez stared at the strange readings on his screen. The small ship New Horizon drifted quietly through space, far from Earth. Jake and his crew of 11 other people were exploring new star systems, looking for planets where humans might live someday. "Captain, I'm getting some weird signals," said Amy Chen from her seat at the communications desk. She was a young woman who spoke many languages and was very good with computers. "There's something big out there." Jake looked at the main screen. In the distance, they could see a massive metal structure floating in the darkness. It was bigger than any space station humans had ever built. Lights blinked along its surface and strange symbols glowed on its sides. "Should we go take a look?" asked Dr. Lisa Monroe. She was the ship's scientist who studied alien life. Her eyes were bright with curiosity. "We might learn something new." Jake thought for a moment. Their mission was to explore and learn. This could be the discovery of a lifetime. "Okay, but we stay careful. Tony, take us closer slowly." Tony Rodriguez, their pilot, gently moved the ship forward. As they got closer, the alien station became even more impressive. It was shaped like a giant ring with towers sticking out from it. The metal looked old but strong. Inside the alien station, Admiral Vextar watched the small human ship approach. Vextar was a tall creature with gray skin and 4 arms. His red eyes glowed as he studied the readings. "Sir, it's just a tiny ship," said one of his officers. "Should we destroy it?" Vextar looked at the human vessel with interest. The Kethran Empire had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Every species they met either ran away in fear or attacked with huge fleets. But this little ship just came closer, like it wasn't afraid at all. "No," Vextar said. "Let's see what they want. Maybe they don't know who we are." On the New Horizon, Chief Engineer Carlos Rivera was studying the alien technology. "Captain, their energy shields are incredible. I've never seen anything like this pattern." "Can we get through them?" Jake asked. Carlos smiled. "Actually, yes. Their shields are designed to stop big weapons and large ships. Our small size and different technology should slip right through." Jake made his decision. "Do it, let's get closer." The human ship moved forward and passed through the Kethran shields like they weren't even there. On the alien station, alarms started ringing. "Impossible," shouted Vextar. "Their shields were our strongest design. How did that tiny ship get through?" His officers ran around in panic. The Kethran had never seen anyone break their shields so easily. To them, it meant these humans must have incredibly advanced technology. Jake opened a communication channel. "This is Captain Jake Martinez of the Earth ship New Horizon. We come in peace. We're explorers from a planet called Earth." Vextar was confused. The human sounded calm and friendly. In his experience, only very powerful species acted this confident when meeting the Kethran Empire for the first time. "Earth ship," Vextar replied. "You have entered Kethran space. State your business." Dr. Lisa Monroe leaned forward. "We're scientists and explorers. We saw your station and wanted to learn about your people. We mean no harm." This confused Vextar even more. Species that could break Kethran's shields usually demanded surrender or started shooting. These humans just wanted to talk and learn. "Permission to come aboard your station?" Jake asked politely. Vextar's advisors whispered frantically. "Sir, this could be a trap. Maybe they're testing our defenses." But Vextar was curious. "Very well. You may send a small group, but any hostile action will be met with force." Jake chose 3 people to go with him. Lieutenant Ben Harper was their security officer, a calm man who was very good at fighting but preferred talking. Dr. Lisa Monroe came to study the aliens. Carlos Rivera came to learn about their technology. When the 4 humans stepped onto the alien station, dozens of Kethran soldiers surrounded them. The aliens were tall and intimidating, carrying advanced weapons, but the humans didn't seem scared at all. "Welcome to Station Kolvar," Vextar said. He studied the humans carefully. They were smaller than Kethran, but they moved with confidence. Their technology looked simple, but it had done impossible things. Dr. Monroe looked around with wonder. "Your architecture is amazing. How long have your people been building in space?" Her genuine interest surprised Vextar. For over 10,000 years, we control many star systems. That's incredible, Monroe said with a smile. We've only been in space for a few hundred years. This statement shocked the Kethran. If humans were so new to space travel, how were they so advanced? It didn't make sense. Suddenly, a group of young Kethran soldiers decided to test the humans. They thought 4 small beings would be easy to capture. 12 soldiers rushed at the humans with weapons ready. Lieutenant Ben Harper moved faster than any Kethran had ever seen a being move. In just a few seconds, he had disarmed 3 soldiers and knocked them down gently. Carlos and Dr. Monroe helped by tripping 2 more soldiers and taking their weapons away. Captain Jake calmly stepped aside and let his team work. In less than a minute, 12 Kethran soldiers were on the ground, unhurt but defeated. The humans hadn't even used any weapons. They had won with just their hands and quick thinking. The other Kethran soldiers stared in shock. Their warriors were supposed to be the best in the galaxy, but these humans had beaten them easily, almost, like they were playing a game. Sorry about that, Ben Harper said, helping one of the fallen soldiers stand up. Are you hurt? We didn't mean to embarrass anyone. Admiral Vextar couldn't believe what he had seen. 4 humans had defeated 12 of his best soldiers without breaking a sweat. And now they were being kind to their defeated enemies. How? Vextar whispered. Jake shrugged. We train a lot. And we work together as a team. Ben here used to teach martial arts back on Earth. To the Kethran, this was terrifying. If their regular people were this good at fighting, what were their actual soldiers like? And if this was just a small exploration ship, how powerful was their military? As word spread through the station about what had happened, the Kethran began to fear they had encountered something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. They had no idea that what they had just seen was simply 4 curious humans doing their best in a strange situation. Amy Chen sat at her communication station listening to the alien radio chatter. Her special equipment could translate the Kethran language, and what she heard made her worried. Captain, she called to Jake. You need to hear this. The aliens are sending messages to their other ships and stations. They're really scared of us. Jake came over to listen. Through the translator, he could hear Kethran voices talking fast and with panic. Impossible warriors from an unknown species, one voice said. They broke through our shields like they were made of paper. 12 of our soldiers defeated by 4 beings, another voice added. Their fighting skills are beyond anything we've seen. They must be scouts for a massive invasion force, a third voice said. No species sends just 1 small ship unless they have thousands more hidden somewhere. Jake looked confused. Invasion force? We're just explorers. Back on the New Horizon, Dr. Helen Brooks was treating some injured Kethran soldiers in the ship's medical bay. Helen was a kind doctor who believed in helping anyone who was hurt, even former enemies. This medicine will help the pain, she told a young Kethran soldier as she bandaged his arm. The alien looked at her with surprise. Why do you help me? The soldier asked. I tried to fight you. Helen smiled gently. Because you're hurt, and I'm a doctor. It's what we do. The soldier had never experienced kindness from an enemy before. In the Kethran Empire, defeated enemies were usually killed or made into slaves. This human's compassion confused him. Your people, the soldier said slowly. Are they all like this? Most humans try to help others when they can, Helen replied. We believe all life is valuable. The soldier's eyes grew wide. A species powerful enough to defeat Kethran warriors, but kind enough to heal their enemies. This was something beyond his understanding. Navigator Tony Rodriguez was studying the alien star maps when he noticed something troubling. Captain, I'm seeing a lot of ship movement in nearby systems. Big ships, and they're all heading this way. Jake studied the displays. Dozens of Kethran warships were moving toward their location. Each ship was 10 times bigger than the New Horizon. Should we run? Asked Carlos Rivera. Not yet, Jake decided. We haven't done anything wrong. Maybe they just want to talk. On the alien station, Admiral Vextar was receiving reports from across the Kethran Empire. The news about the humans was spreading fast, and every report made them sound more dangerous. "Sir," one officer reported, "our scientists analyzed their ship. Their technology is completely different from ours. We can't understand how it works." Another officer added, "Their materials are stronger than our best metals, but they're made from simple elements. It's like they know secrets we've never discovered." Vextar was getting more worried. The Kethran Empire had conquered the galaxy by having the best technology and the biggest armies. But these humans seemed to have technology that was both simple and superior at the same time. Meanwhile, systems specialist Greg Foster was having the time of his life. The humans had been allowed to study some of the Kethran computer systems, and Greg was amazed by what he found. "This is incredible," he told Carlos. "Their computers are powerful, but they're designed in such a complicated way. Look, I can make this system work twice as fast just by changing a few lines of code." In just 2 hours, Greg had improved a computer system that Kethran engineers had worked on for decades. To the aliens watching, it looked like magic. "How did you do that so quickly?" asked a Kethran engineer. Greg shrugged. "Back home, we're always trying to make things work better. We call it innovation. Don't your people do the same thing?" The Kethran engineer looked confused. In their empire, technology never changed. They used the same designs for hundreds of years because change was considered dangerous. Pilot Sandra Walsh was having her own adventure. The Kethran had let her try, flying one of their small fighter ships just to see what would happen. Sandra had been flying since she was a teenager and loved trying new aircraft. Within an hour, she was flying the alien ship better than pilots who had trained for years. She understood the controls intuitively, and even found ways to make the ship perform better. "This is fun," Sandra said over the radio. "Your ships have great power, but the control systems are too rigid. If you made them more flexible, pilots could adapt to different situations better." The Kethran flight instructor was speechless. Sandra was suggesting improvements to ship designs that had been perfected over centuries. And her suggestions actually worked far away on the Kethran homeworld. Emperor Zalthon was reading reports about the humans with growing alarm. Zalthon was an ancient ruler who had conquered hundreds of worlds. He had never met a species that truly challenged the Kethran Empire. "Advisor Nexel," the Emperor called to his chief military strategist. "What do you make of these humans?" Nexel was a veteran of many wars. "Your Majesty, I've never seen anything like this. They appear to have only one small ship, but their capabilities are extraordinary. Either they're hiding their true strength or they're so advanced that they don't need large forces." "How many humans do you think exist?" the Emperor asked. "Unknown, Your Majesty. If 12 of them can defeat our soldiers so easily, and if this is just an exploration vessel, then their military must be incredibly powerful. They might have billions of soldiers, all with capabilities like these." Emperor Zalthon felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries. Fear. The Kethran Empire, ruled through strength and intimidation. But what if they had met a species that was simply stronger? "Double the fleet heading to intercept them," the Emperor ordered, "and send word to all our systems. We may be facing the greatest threat our empire has ever known." Back on the New Horizon, the crew was starting to understand that they had stumbled into something much bigger than a simple first contact situation. Intelligence Officer Rick Palmer had been studying the alien communications and databases. What he found made him call an emergency meeting. "Captain," Rick said to the gathered crew, "we need to talk. This Kethran Empire isn't just another space civilization. They're conquerors. They control thousands of worlds and billions of people. And from what I can tell, they rule through fear and oppression." Dr. Monroe looked sad. "So all those kind aliens we met are actually prisoners in their own empire?" "It looks that way," Rick confirmed. "And here's the scary part. They think we're here to invade them. Every message they send talks about preparing for war against humanity." Jake realized they were in serious trouble. "So we've accidentally convinced a galactic empire that Earth is about to attack them?" "That's exactly what happened," Rick said. "And they're so scared of us that they're bringing their entire military to this system." Amy Chen looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm getting a direct message from someone calling himself Emperor Zalthon. He wants to talk to you personally." Jake took a deep breath. Somehow, 12 human explorers had become the center of a galactic crisis, and they still had no idea how much bigger this was going to get. Emperor Zalthon sat on his throne, staring at the communication screen. The human who appeared before him looked ordinary, not like the terrifying warrior he had expected. Captain Jake Martinez seemed calm and friendly, which somehow made the Emperor even more nervous. "I am Emperor Zalthon of the Kethran Empire," the ruler said, trying to sound powerful. "I command thousands of worlds and billions of subjects." Jake nodded politely. "I'm Captain Jake Martinez. We're explorers from Earth. We didn't mean to cause any problems." The Emperor studied Jake's face. The human showed no fear, no awe at speaking to the ruler of a galactic empire. To Zalthon, this calm confidence could only mean one thing. The humans were so powerful that they didn't consider the Kethran Empire a threat. "What do you want from us?" the Emperor asked. "Nothing. Really," Jake said honestly. "We were just curious about your space station. We like learning about new cultures and making friends." This answer terrified the Emperor more than any threat would have. In his experience, only species with overwhelming military power could afford to be so casual about making contact with enemies. Meanwhile, Rick Palmer was deep in the Kethran computer systems, learning about their empire. What he discovered made him sick to his stomach. "Captain," Rick called over the intercom, "you need to see this. The Kethran Empire is built on slavery and fear. They've conquered over 3,000 worlds. The people on those planets are forced to work for the Empire, and anyone who rebels is killed." Dr. Monroe looked at the data with horror. "How many people are we talking about?" "Billions," Rick replied. "Maybe hundreds of billions, and they're all waiting for someone strong enough to challenge the Empire." On the alien station, more amazing things were happening. Maintenance Chief Danny Adams was helping Kethran engineers fix a broken power system. Danny was a practical man who loved solving problems, and he couldn't stand seeing broken equipment. "Your power flow is all wrong," Danny explained to a group of alien engineers. "You're losing half your energy through inefficient connections. Here, let me show you." In 30 minutes, Danny had improved the station's power system by 40%. The Kethran engineers watched in amazement as their equipment worked better than it ever had before. "How did you learn to do this?" one engineer asked. "Practice," Danny said with a smile. "On Earth, we're always trying to make things work better. We fix things, improve them, and share what we learn." The concept of sharing knowledge freely was strange to the Kethran. In their empire, information was power, and power was hoarded by those in charge. Research specialist Kelly Murphy was having conversations with Kethran civilians, the ordinary people who worked on the station. What she learned about their society shocked her. "You've never been allowed to change jobs?" Kelly asked a young Kethran worker. "No," the alien replied sadly. "I was born to repair machines, so I repair machines. My children will also repair machines. That is the way of the Empire." Kelly couldn't believe it. "But what if you wanted to be a pilot, or a scientist, or an artist?" The worker looked confused. "I don't understand. People cannot choose their roles. The Empire decides what everyone does." Kelly realized that the Kethran had never experienced individual freedom. They lived in a system where every person's life was controlled from birth to death. Back on the New Horizon, Amy Chen was monitoring communications across the Empire. What she heard was both exciting and terrifying. "Captain," she reported, "word about us is spreading. I'm picking up transmissions from dozens of different species, all the people the Kethran have conquered. They're talking about the humans, who aren't afraid of the Empire." Jake listened to some of the translated messages. Voices from across the galaxy were whispering about hope for the first time in generations. "Did you hear?" one voice said. "There are beings who can defeat Kethran, soldiers without weapons. They say the humans are kind to their enemies," another voice added. "Maybe they're the ones we've been waiting for." Sandra Walsh was teaching Kethran pilots new flying techniques. The aliens were amazed by her skill and creativity. "In your empire, do pilots always follow the same flight patterns?" Sandra asked. "Yes," replied a Kethran pilot. "We learn the approved methods and never change them. Sandra shook her head. That's so limiting. Flying should be creative. Watch this. She demonstrated a flying maneuver that combined 3 different techniques in a new way. The move was more efficient and more effective than anything in the Kethran pilot manual. But this is not approved, the alien pilot said nervously. So what? Sandra laughed. If it works better, why not use it? Don't you want to be the best pilot you can be? The idea of individual improvement and personal excellence was revolutionary to people who had been taught to follow orders without question. Greg Foster had been given access to the station's central computer, and what he found amazed him. Kethran had incredible computing power, but they used it in the most inefficient ways possible. Look at this, Greg explained to Carlos. They have enough computing power to run a small planet, but they're using it to run simple programs. It's like using a race car to deliver mail. Greg started making small improvements to their systems. Within hours, the station was running smoother than it had in decades. Tasks that used to take hours now took minutes. The Kethran computer specialists watched in wonder as their technology performed miracles under Greg's guidance. Are all humans this skilled with computers? One alien asked. Greg's pretty good, Carlos admitted. But he's not special. Most humans his age know this stuff. We grow up with technology and learn to make it better. This casual statement sent shockwaves through the alien engineers. If this human was just average, what were their computer experts like? Emperor Zalthon was receiving reports from the station, and each one made him more afraid. The humans were casually doing things that his best experts said were impossible. They were improving technology that had been perfected over thousands of years. They were treating his soldiers with kindness while demonstrating abilities that seemed beyond belief. Advisor Nexel, the Emperor called. How many ships are we sending to deal with these humans? Over 500 warships, Your Majesty, Nexel replied. The largest fleet we've ever assembled. Is it enough? The Emperor asked. Nexel hesitated. Your Majesty, if 12 humans can do what we've seen, I'm not sure any number of ships would be enough. We may be facing a species that has evolved beyond the need for large armies. The Emperor felt his world crumbling. For thousands of years, the Kethran Empire had ruled through superior numbers and technology. But what if they had met a species that was simply better at everything? On the New Horizon, Captain Jake was making a difficult decision. His crew had accidentally become symbols of hope for billions of oppressed people, but they were still just 12 humans with one small ship. Captain, Dr. Monroe said, these people have been slaves for thousands of years. If we leave now, the Empire will probably punish anyone who talked to us. Jake nodded grimly. They had wanted to explore the galaxy and make friends. Instead, they had stumbled into a situation where their actions could affect the lives of countless beings. And if we stay? Jake asked. Then we might accidentally start a galactic war, Rick Palmer replied. The Emperor thinks we're the advance guard of an invasion. He's bringing everything he has to fight us. Jake looked at his crew, 11 other humans who had signed up for a peaceful mission of exploration. Now they were at the center of a crisis. That could change the galaxy forever. What do you all think? Jake asked. Do we run or do we try to help these people? The crew exchanged glances. They had seen the suffering of the Empire's subjects. They had witnessed the hope in alien eyes when someone finally stood up to the Kethran. Ben Harper spoke for all of them. Captain, we can't save the galaxy, but maybe we can give these people a chance to save themselves. Word was spreading across the galaxy faster than the Emperor could control it. On a mining world called Veltar, alien workers whispered to each other as they dug precious metals for the Kethran Empire. Did you hear about the humans? Asked Zorak, a blue-skinned miner who had worked in the tunnels his whole life. They're not afraid of the Empire. His friend Kilvin looked around nervously. Keep your voice down. If the guards hear you talking about rebellion, they'll send you to the punishment cells. But Zorak couldn't help himself. For the first time in his life, he had heard about beings who could stand up to their oppressors. They say 12 humans defeated Kethran soldiers without even trying, and they were kind to the wounded. On the New Horizon, Danny Adams was teaching a group of alien engineers something that seemed impossible: how to think for themselves. But what if the improvement doesn't work? Asked a nervous Kethron engineer. Danny smiled. Then we try something else. That's how learning works. You experiment, you make mistakes, and you get better. But we could be punished for changing approved designs, another engineer worried. Who's going to punish you for making things work better? Danny asked. If your bosses get mad at you for improving their station, then they're pretty stupid bosses. The idea that authority figures could be wrong was revolutionary to people who had never been allowed to question anything. Meanwhile, Dr. Helen Brooks was running what had become an informal medical clinic. Injured and sick aliens from all over, the station came to see the human doctor who treated everyone with kindness. "Doctor," said a young alien mother holding her sick child, "in the Empire, only important people get good medical care. Why do you help everyone?" Helen gently examined the child and gave him medicine that would make him feel better. "Because everyone deserves to be healthy and happy. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from." The mother started crying. I have never heard anyone say that before. Helen's simple act of caring was spreading a dangerous idea throughout the station. That all life had value, regardless of social rank. Emperor Zalthon was losing sleep. Reports from the station where the humans were staying painted a picture of impossible beings doing impossible things. But worse, his spy networks were reporting something that terrified him even more. "Your Majesty," reported his intelligence chief, "there are signs of unrest on 17 different worlds. Workers are asking questions they've never asked before. Some are even refusing to follow orders." "How is this possible?" the Emperor demanded. "The humans have been in our space for only a few days. It seems that news of their abilities has spread through our communication networks. The subject species are interpreting their presence as a sign that the Empire can be challenged." The Emperor felt panic rising in his chest. His empire was built on the belief that the Kethron were unstoppable. If that belief cracked, everything would fall apart. On the mining world of Veltar, something unprecedented was happening. Zorak and his fellow workers had decided to ask their overseer for better working conditions. "We want safety equipment," Zorak said to the surprised Kethron guard, "and better food, and time to rest." The guard couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You don't make demands, you work and you obey." But Zorak had been thinking about the humans who weren't afraid. "Why? What will you do if we refuse? Punish all of us? Then who will mine your precious metals?" For the first time in his life, the guard realized that the workers had power if they chose to use it together. Back on the station, Kelly Murphy was having deep conversations with aliens from dozens of different species. She was learning about cultures that had been suppressed for thousands of years. Before the Empire came, an elderly alien told her, "My people were artists and musicians. We created beautiful things and shared them with other worlds." "What happened to your art?" Kelly asked. "Forbidden," the alien said sadly. "The Empire said art was a waste of time. Now my grandchildren don't even know how to sing the old songs." Kelly felt angry at such waste. "Would you like to teach me one of your songs? I could record it and make sure it's not forgotten." The alien's eyes filled with tears. "You would do that? You would help preserve something the Empire tried to destroy?" "Of course," Kelly said. "Every culture is valuable. Every song, every story, every tradition, they all matter." Tony Rodriguez was working with alien pilots, and he was amazed by what he learned. Many of the species under Kethron rule had once been incredible space travelers. "My people could navigate by the stars, alone," said a pilot with golden skin and large eyes. "We explored half the galaxy before the Empire conquered us." "So what happened to that knowledge?" Tony asked. "Taken away. The Empire said only Kethron navigation methods were allowed. Our star maps were destroyed, our techniques forgotten." Tony was horrified. "They stole your heritage." "Yes," the pilot said quietly. "But maybe with the humans here, things could change. Maybe we could remember who we used to be." Greg Foster had made an incredible discovery in the Kethron computer systems. Hidden in old data files, he found records of the species the Empire had conquered. "Captain," Greg called excitedly, "you have to see this." Before the Kethrin took over, this galaxy was amazing. There were hundreds of different civilizations, all trading and sharing knowledge. Some of these species had technology we can barely understand. Jake studied the ancient records. What happened to all of it? The Empire destroyed it, Greg said with disgust. They erased thousands of years of progress because they were afraid other species might become too powerful. This discovery changed everything. The humans realized they weren't just dealing with an oppressive government. They were looking at the ruins of a once great galactic civilization. Carlos Rivera was working with alien engineers to restore some of the old technology. "Look at this," he said, showing them designs from their own ancestors. "Your people invented this fusion reactor design 3,000 years ago. It's better than what the Empire uses now." The engineers stared at their own heritage in wonder. This is from our world? "Your people were brilliant," Carlos said. "The Empire made you forget how brilliant you were." Admiral Vexitar was reporting to the Emperor, and the news was not good. "Your Majesty, the situation is getting worse. The humans continue to demonstrate impossible abilities, but more importantly, they're teaching our subjects to think independently." "What do you mean?" the Emperor asked. "They're showing the conquered species their own lost history. They're helping them remember technologies and cultures that we worked centuries to suppress. Worst of all, they're treating everyone as equals." The Emperor understood the true threat now. The humans weren't just militarily superior. They represented everything the Empire had tried to destroy: individual freedom, technological progress, and the idea that all beings deserved respect. "How long until our fleet arrives?" the Emperor asked. 2 days, Your Majesty." The Emperor made a decision that would change everything. "Send a message to the human captain. Tell him I want to negotiate." On the New Horizon, Amy Chen received the message and brought it to Jake immediately. "Captain, the Emperor wants to talk. He's offering to negotiate a peace treaty." Jake thought carefully. A Galactic Emperor didn't negotiate unless he was truly afraid. But afraid of what? 12 human explorers in a tiny ship? Set up the call, Jake decided. It was time to find out what the Emperor really thought was happening. As Jake prepared to speak with the ruler of a galactic empire, he had no idea that his next words would either save billions of lives or accidentally start the biggest war the galaxy had ever seen. The Emperor was calling because he was desperate. He had decided that negotiating with the humans was better than fighting a war he couldn't win. But Jake and his crew still didn't understand that the Emperor thought Earth had sent them as the advance guard of a massive invasion force. The stage was set for the most important conversation in galactic history. Emperor Zalthon appeared on the communication screen, and Jake could see the fear in the alien ruler's eyes. The Emperor, who commanded thousands of worlds, looked tired and desperate. "Captain Martinez," the Emperor began, "I wish to discuss terms." Jake was confused. "Terms for what, Your Majesty?" "For your people's conquest of my empire," the Emperor said. "I know when I am defeated. Your advance force has proven that resistance is useless." Jake's eyes went wide. "Advance force? Your Majesty, I think there's been a misunderstanding." But the Emperor continued. "I have seen what 12 of your people can do. Your technology surpasses ours. Your warriors defeat our soldiers without effort, and your knowledge improves our systems beyond recognition. I can only imagine what horror your full military would bring." On the New Horizon, the crew exchanged shocked glances. The Emperor thought they were the beginning of an invasion. "Your Majesty," Jake said carefully, "we're not here to conquer anyone. We're explorers and scientists. We came here by accident." The Emperor laughed bitterly. "Please, Captain, do not insult my intelligence. No species sends their most elite forces on exploration missions. The fact that you achieved so much with so few people only proves how vast your true capabilities must be." Jake realized the depth of the misunderstanding. "Your Majesty, we're not elite forces. We're ordinary people. Scientists, engineers, a doctor, a pilot. We're just curious about the universe." "Ordinary?" The Emperor's voice rose. Your ordinary people casually penetrated our strongest shields, defeated our warriors, and improved our technology beyond our greatest achievements. If these are your ordinary citizens, what are your soldiers like? Dr. Monroe leaned forward. Your Majesty, may I ask, what did you think when you heard about us? The Emperor looked puzzled by the question. I thought we had encountered a species so advanced that they could conquer worlds with tiny forces. When I heard that 12 beings had accomplished so much, I assumed your people must number in the billions, all with capabilities like yours. Carlos Rivera spoke up. Sir, how many people do you think live on Earth? Based on your demonstrated capabilities, hundreds of billions, perhaps trillions. All of them probably trained warriors and advanced scientists. The crew was stunned. The Emperor had imagined Earth as a planet of super soldiers and genius scientists. Jake made a decision that would change galactic history. Your Majesty, I'm going to tell you the truth, and I hope you'll believe me. Go on, the Emperor said nervously. Earth has about 8 billion people. Most of them are farmers, teachers, shopkeepers, artists, and families just trying to live. Good lives. We have armies, but they're small. We have scientists, but most people aren't geniuses. We're just normal. The Emperor stared at him. Impossible. It's true, Jake continued. We're not an invasion force. We're not the advance guard of some mighty fleet. We're 12 people in one small ship who got curious about your space station. The Emperor's face went through several emotions: disbelief, confusion, and then slowly, horror. You mean, the Emperor whispered, you mean they didn't have a full army? No, Your Majesty. Just us. The Emperor sat back in his throne, the reality hitting him like a physical blow. If 12 ordinary humans could do what they had done, it meant the Kethran Empire wasn't as powerful as he thought. It meant his 1,000-year reign of terror was built on foundations far weaker than he had believed. But your technology, the Emperor stammered. We like to tinker and improve things, Greg Foster explained. It's just how humans are. We see something that works, and we try to make it work better. Your fighting skills. We train for self-defense, Ben Harper said, and we work together as a team. That's normal for us. Your kindness to enemies. We believe all life is valuable, Dr. Brooks added. That's not unusual on Earth. The Emperor realized that everything that seemed impossible about the humans was just their normal way of being. They weren't super warriors. They were just people who thought differently than the Kethran. But across the galaxy, the damage was already done. The news about the fearless humans had spread to every world under Empire control. On hundreds of planets, beings who had lived in slavery for generations were asking themselves, if 12 humans could stand up to the Empire, why couldn't they? On the mining world of Veltar, Zorak and his fellow workers had done something unprecedented. They had gone on strike. For the first time in the planet's history under Empire rule, the mines were silent. We want freedom, Zorak told the panicked Kethran overseer. We want to choose our own jobs, live our own lives, and raise our children the way we want to. Similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy. The idea that the Empire could be challenged had taken root, and it was growing faster than the Kethran could control. Your Majesty, Amy Chen said gently, I've been monitoring communications across your empire. People everywhere are talking about change. They're not waiting for Earth to save them. They're starting to save themselves. The Emperor looked at his advisors, who nodded grimly. Reports of unrest were coming in from every sector of the Empire. It's over, isn't it? The Emperor asked quietly. Jake felt sorry for the alien ruler. Your Majesty, it doesn't have to be the end. It could be a new beginning. What do you mean? The people you've ruled don't hate you personally, Dr. Monroe explained. They just want freedom. If you gave them that freedom willingly, you could become a leader they choose to follow, instead of one they're forced to obey. The Emperor considered this. You're suggesting I dissolve the Empire voluntarily? We're suggesting you transform it, Jake said. Instead of an empire built on fear, you could help create an alliance built on cooperation. The humans have shown people that working together freely is more powerful than being forced to obey. Over the following days, something amazing happened across the galaxy. The Kethran Empire didn't fall through war or violence. Instead, it dissolved as world after world declared their independence and began forming new governments. Emperor Zalthon, faced with the choice between fighting an unwinnable war against his own people or becoming a leader in a new era, chose change. He announced the end of the empire and the beginning of what would become the Galactic Cooperative. The transformation wasn't perfect or immediate. There were conflicts, negotiations, and difficult decisions. But for the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy was moving toward freedom instead of greater oppression. Danny Adams helped establish technology-sharing programs, teaching beings across the galaxy how to innovate and improve their lives. Kelly Murphy worked to preserve and restore the cultures the Empire had tried to destroy. Dr. Brooks trained medical workers to care for everyone, regardless of their species or social status. 6 months later, as the New Horizon prepared to return to Earth, Captain Jake stood on the observation deck looking out at the stars. Hundreds of different species had sent representatives to thank the humans and establish diplomatic relations with Earth. Did we do the right thing? Asked Dr. Monroe, joining him at the window. Jake thought about it. We came here to explore and learn. We accidentally became the catalyst for the biggest change this galaxy has ever seen. I think we did something amazing, even if we didn't plan it. Tony Rodriguez piloted the ship away from what had once been the heart of a galactic empire and was now the center of a growing federation of free worlds. Behind them, billions of beings were learning to live as free citizens instead of slaves. The 12 humans who had left Earth as explorers were returning as accidental heroes. They had proven that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe isn't an army or a weapon. It's the simple idea that every being deserves freedom, respect, and the chance to choose their own destiny. As the New Horizon jumped to hyperspace for the long journey home, Jake smiled. They would have quite a story to tell when they got back to Earth. And if Earth decided to send more ships to explore the galaxy, they would find not an empire to fear, but friends eager to welcome them. The Emperor's horrified question, "You mean they didn't have a full army?" had become the starting point for a new age of galactic civilization. Sometimes the smallest actions can have the greatest consequences, and sometimes 12 curious humans are exactly what the universe needs.